The White House and federal scientists are pushing the myth that marijuana is laced with fentanyl.
Wow.
Remember
Prohibition, where we covered how they also did that with alcohol?
Well, they actually, and then they actually seeded alcohol supplies with poisoned alcohol, too. They went a little farther.
The hardiest urban legend of the U.S. overdose crisis, the idea that deadly amounts of fentanyl are tainting the illicit marijuana market, is being spread by officials at the White House and the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Yes.
Wow.
So shocking. At a news conference last week, prior to briefing Trump on the crisis, Kellyanne Conway, the White House's opioid crisis czar, oh my God, really? Warned of the risks of illicit fentanyl turning up in other drugs, including marijuana.
Do we really live in this fucking country?
Yep.
We need to start
Kellyanne Conway, White House opioid crisis czar. What? Why is that a physician?
Why is Kellyanne Conway it?
I don't know. I never knew she was that. I guess she is.
I thought she was just Trump's little butt washer.
Why can't she be the ambassador to Micronesia or some shit that doesn't?
Don't make her the ambassador to anything, man.
I mean,
make her the fucking head of
she can be the ambassador
janitorial services at the White House
or some shit. No, because then the White House will be filthy. We don't want that.
Well, I do. With chocolate though.
People are at a news conference last week, prior to briefing Trump on the crisis, Kellyanne Conway, the White House's opioid crisis czar, apparently warned of the risks of illicit fentanyl turning up in other drugs such as marijuana. People are unwittingly ingesting it, Conway said. It's laced into heroin, marijuana, meth, cocaine, and it's also just being distributed by itself.
Okay. So can we just stop for a minute and have a little talk about drugs?
Can we stop for a minute and get off this planet?
We need to have a little talk about drugs, because this notion that people are lacing normally less harmful drugs with more harmful shit has been around since I was a kid and since way before. And let me tell you what it is: a complete and utter fantasy. It's a lie. It's a fabrication. Let me tell you why. Weed is cheap.
Yes.
Fentanyl is expensive. If you sprinkle fentanyl secretly on weed, you can't sell it as fentanyl anymore. So nobody is taking a drug that they can sell pure for $800 and sprinkling it on a dime bag of weed. It'd be like for the memes.
It'd be like if whatever company makes Tootsie Rolls is like, from now on, we're going to use gold wrappers.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. It would be like this. From now on, 1 in 100 Tootsie Rolls are made of solid gold at our expense. It's like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's never happened. Maybe it's happened in small, for some friend pranking another friend, but no weed dealer has ever been like, you know what I'm going to do? Poison all the people that pay my bills by sprinkling fentanyl on the weed. This is the stupidest, fucking most retarded fairy tale that you will ever hear a politician or a drug enforcement official tell you, that you're going to get laced weed. Never going to happen.
Well, why would anyone take their more expensive drugs that sometimes sell for per gram more than the price of gold and fucking top it on some other drug? That doesn't make sense. That's not how drugs are sold. People that do drugs, let's say you're doing meth, you don't give a fuck about weed. Maybe you'll smoke some weed if it's given to you, but you want to fucking do meth.
It's crazy that this story is coming out from our leaders. Epidemiologist Dan Cicerone of the University of California, San Francisco told BuzzFeed News. It shows that concerns about fentanyl have reached the level of moral panic. Fear outweighs rational evidence. There is scant evidence for cannabis laced with fentanyl.
You know what, TJ? I can checkmate this story. Where are you reading it at?
BuzzFeed News.
Checkmate. Done. Bullshit.
Liberal propaganda.
Next story.
Fake news.
Liberal propaganda network.
Fake fucking news.
I really always like.
That's gonna sound great.
I love when they juxtapose a scientist or a doctor
sound wonderful
with a politician. It's always like that. It's some hyperbolic statement, and then it's like, the reality is that's not true. And then a bunch of idiots like, what's the headline? Marijuana laced fentanyl. And then people go, oh! It's fucking, people buy into this shit constantly. And like Paul elucidated before, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Why the fuck would anyone do that? The answer is they don't.
I'm a scared. I'm scared that the fentanyl gonna make us all be real sad.
The people dying from fentanyl abuse are the people that went out and bought fentanyl and OD'd on it.
Yeah, primarily heroin addicts.
Trump says hurricane hit Puerto Rico has received too much aid.
Huh?
Too much.
Yeah. President opposes...
Wait a minute. How many... weren't they without power on most of the island?
For 11 months.
Yeah, for almost a year.
3,000 people
That's
died.
what too much aid looks like? What does too little aid look like? Dropping bombs on them as they sit in their fucking hurricane-destroyed homes?
President opposes additional disaster relief aid for territories, saying funds were out of proportion for what mainland states got. Donald Trump told a meeting of Republican lawmakers that hurricane-devastated Puerto Rico had received too much rebuilding money compared with mainland states like Florida and Texas.
But how's that comparable?
Hardening his opposition to further disaster aid for the U.S. island territory.
The Texas can be reached from almost any other state with the exception of Alaska and Hawaii easily. Like, so aid can be delivered there. There's already transportation infrastructure routes to deliver that aid. Puerto Rico is an island, thereby necessitating either air or sea deliveries of supplies to them. They went out without power for 11 months. The government lied about how many people died for such a long time and said it was 83 people who had died in these.
And now they want to fuck them out of their rebuilding money.
Yeah, and now it's
out of the money that it's going to take their country, which was like underwater.
Dude, Puerto Rico, well, it fucking was massively in debt. Their economy was struggling. I mean, they had so many problems before this, compounded with a massive storm. Their power companies were failing before the storm even came. So to say that this situation...
Well, remember, Trump has to keep that disaster money open to build the wall.
The pointless wall that we've already established.
The real emergency is at the southern border. The real emergency is not people in a U.S. territory like without power and starving and shit. The real emergency is Mexicans at the border. They're going to come on in.
5-alarm fire at the border, TJ.
You can't blame a retarded populace is almost unbelievable, because when you hear just blatant lies told over and over again to you, if you had any ability to examine the information and critically look at what the fuck is going on, and just, I mean, even if you just drop any sort of bias and just try to look objective, like, well, what happened? Is this place in a good state? Let's just go take a look at it. Is it, oh, the infrastructure is failing. Oh, this is failing. And to say as part of our country, we don't really do anything about it. It's good enough. I mean, it's idiotic. It's like, I don't even understand how it can even be a partisan issue. It's like, we have all these systemic failures in our society, and we just continuously just gloss over them. It's not a big deal. Oh, you know, it's just because it's some island somewhere. Oh, they're not even really a state anyway. So what's the point of giving them money? It's like, what?
Well, I mean, that's the way that about half the country wants to think about our responsibility.
I feel that way, but anyway, I mean, like in California, there's wildfires and people lost their homes and shit. You know what? And those people are getting fucked too. A lot of people are homeless now.
Oh, there are people that, for partisan reasons, when shit happens, like if Republicans are in power and something happens in a liberal state, will stymie funding for things. Like, you know, Trump was talking about how like it was what did he blame the wildfires on?
California didn't rake the leaves in the forest
that's
good
what
enough
it was.
for some
not
shit.
Enough leaf raking. Just absurd.